The Lands Committee of the House of Representatives is visiting Waipoua to see both sides of the story and to report back to Parliament. Mr. Skinner, the Commissioner of State Forests, is there as a member of the committee, and experts from the State Forestry Service are technical advisors. The members of the committee listen to the views of the petitioners, as put forward by Mr. McGregor, one of their representatives.
The Waipoua Kauri Forest, located near Dargaville in Northland, is New Zealand's largest kauri forest and the home to the largest kauri tree in the country. Tāne Mahuta, which means God of the Forest, is about 1,500 years old, stands over 50 metres tall, has a girth of nearly 14 metres and contains nearly 250 cubic metres of timber. The Waipoua Forest also contains the second and third largest kauri in the country, and is home for many endangered native birds, including the kōkako and kiwi. Also found in the forest is the kauri snail, a large carnivorous snail which feeds mainly on earthworms, slugs, and other insects. One of the largest and longest living trees in the world, New Zealand kauri, is a conifer which first appeared here about 20 million years ago. Kauri forests once extended as far south as Invercargill, but in the last few million years they have been mainly limited to the Coromandel and Northland. Kauri forest tends to occupy poorer soils, where, unlike many other trees, they can flourish. Adaptation to soils which are low in nutrients is one way that the slow-growing kauri can compete successfully with faster-growing trees. Because kauri can tolerate a range of soil moisture conditions, they will grow on a variety of sites, including waterlogged rolling terrain, such as the Waipoua Forest. Kauri achieve their massive size partly because they are highly efficient nitrogen users. With the help of specialist fungi, kauri forests produce nearly twice the amount of wood for a given amount of nitrogen than that achieved by most other forest types. Māori used kauri to make canoes, though the felling of the trees was subject to careful ritual. Early European settlers used kauri to produce masts for ships. Kauri gum or resin oozes from the bark of kauri trees, and large deposits form where branches fork. The gum hardens to seal damaged surfaces, which is how the kauri protects itself from injury and decay. Māori used kauri gum for a variety of purposes, including torches, fuel, and tattooing. They also used newly formed resin lumps as chewing gum. Concerns about the conservation of kauri forests emerged as early as the 1860s, and some patches of forest were classed as reserves by the early 1900s. However, vast amounts of forest continued to be lost during the century.
When that tree fell, it had been standing there for maybe 1,000 years. I went back later to where it had been standing, and there were birds fluttering around there, kaka and kereru, that had nested in that tree for generations. That was the finish. I handed in my resignation. I vowed never to fell another healthy tree.
The Waipoua Forest was purchased by the Crown in the 1870s. Public pressure for total protection increased in the early 20th century. Although in the 1940s, kauri was logged for wartime boat-building supplies. Zoology professor Roy McGregor led a campaign to preserve the trees, which culminated in a petition to Parliament signed by 50,000 people. Local Māori, led by Louis Parore, were also active in saving the forest, which was made a sanctuary in 1952. Today, the Waipoua Kauri Forest is managed by a tribal trust in partnership with the Department of Conservation. However, protection from logging has not ensured its preservation. Introduced animal pests threaten native plants and animals. Possums compete for food with rare birds and attack their nests and strip native trees. The spread of weeds is equally damaging. The Waipoua Forest is particularly vulnerable because of the warm, wet northern climate.